Jiu ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nishinga Dev ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishwad Paramahansas Tatarasata, Shri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada Paramahansas Tatarasata, Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan ki jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnu Tatarasata Srila Bhakti Maharaj ki jai. Tirtha Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Bhakti Dayata Madhava Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Navadvip Dham ki jai, Shri Krishna Gopa Gopi Govardhan Dvadashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dham ki jai. Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Mohan Jiu ki jai. Radha Shyama Sundar Vatsa Muha ki jai. Ananta Kota ki jai. Shri Vishva Vaishya ki jai. Pavana Pavana Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Nandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Shri Nityananda Mahajana ki jai, Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Nitai Gaur Vrinda. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Do Sahodito Gauda Vanto Usham Panchatattva Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Bhakta Bhakta Mami He Sindho Sindho Jagatpati Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Mama Manda Sambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumata Srimad Ratnagara Sinhasanasto Srimad Devo Prishtalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambhi Vam Shivata Tatakstitaha Karshan Venu Swanair Gopir Gopinata Shriye Stuna Brindai Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha. At the lotus feet of my most beloved worshipable Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Asto Tarasata, Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhu. Same unlimited arms in my Shraddha Pushpa, at the lotus feet, beloved Vishta Paramahansa Tarasata Sri Paramahansa Saraswati Sri Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. Make Dandavat Pranam, O my Sri Rupa and all the Vaishnavis. So yesterday we read Srila Gurudev's commentary from his Rath Yatra book about the meeting of Maharaj Prataparudra and Guru, the Rath Yatra festival, to take rest. We read the verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we also read Srila's explanation from his own lecture, from his Rath Yatra book. And another chapter, because that chapter finished description in mood. Between Krishna at Kurukshetra. Okay, so in that chapter, Srila Gurudev is explaining the conversation that they had. Now, we also heard the other day when directly in the verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Rath Yatra chapter, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was explaining the conversation between Krishna and the gopis at Kurukshetra, and how Srimati Radhika was expressing herself, how she does not like to be back to Vrindavan. And we also read this the other day, how Krishna responded to that statement of Srimati Radharani. So some of those subjects will be spoken by Gurudev in this chapter. Actually, much, much more. Charitamrita, combining Rath Yatra alone, at least like 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. So I'm happy actually that, because we haven't had an opportunity to be in one place, devotee, can only just touch on it. You're gone. Blissful, but on the other hand, actually, to be able to do this, and really, whatever year, I'm just doing this alone, because it's so unlimited, just so unlimited. Bhagavatam, the entire Chaitanya Bhagavat, and all the other books. There's not enough time, but that's actually my desire, because what else is as fruitful and spiritual advance? This is sadhu sangha with all of our charity. Minimum doing this until we regimented kind of daily classes when we were living back in the 70s in the temples, But that was also minimal. We had the Bhagavatam class, we had the evening class, and we studied one verse per day. So, what would it take to study 18,000 verses at that pace? 18,000 divided by 365.
Calculator?
Probably like 60 years or something, right? Yeah, use the calculator.
9.3 years.
Really?
Yeah, well, now, in a few days, actually, in a little over a month, I'm at the 50-year mark, having moved into temple. And I'm planning to give a little festival for the devotees on that day.
And you're in Grahastha, and then you're over by family life, and then you get old, and then it's harder to practice due to your body.
Yeah, that whole explanation
That's
that he gave to his classmates.
So 50 years is really, that is a whole entire lifetime that you have to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Vishad Prabhu, he had his 50th anniversary 2 years ago, right?
Oh.
Right.
Well, 50 years of meeting Prabhupada and starting to chant.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meeting Prabhupada. Like in my case, I consider that I moved into the temple August 3rd, 1970. That was the exact date. I even looked at the lunar calendar to make sure. And like 3 weeks after approximately was Janmashtami. But although I didn't get initiated until the following year, 10 months later, we had to wait for Prabhupada to come back from India, So, but that relationship was being established from day one, So I really consider that was the beginning, And then when we saw Srila Prabhupada, that just like cemented everything. So anyway, back to the point that I was making, is that we have to read these books, and when we have an opportunity to sit, even if it's just 2 or 3 serious devotees that are dedicated to the process of books, trying to discuss them, and trying to enter into the meanings and the moods and everything, this is the most sublime activity of the personal presence. Bhagavad Vaishnava, this is the next best thing. You can't get better than this. Because they have put everything in the books. We even have, like I've been listening to Srila Prabhupada, taking prasadam and listening. I'm so overwhelmed every single time. It doesn't even matter what the occasion is, what he's lecturing on, anything. It's so unbelievable. And I really think that any devotee, no matter who initiating guru is, especially being in a Western body, but really even Indian body, that is really essential to have that relationship with this divine personality. Gave everything, and whatever other on that and in what he gave, But it's just very amazing how he gave it. I'm listening to a 1968 lecture in the LA, 1968. His movement is just barely getting started. And just the moods that Srila Prabhupada has. His moods would be according to the audience and the level of his disciples. I mean, just so amazing. And then to read the books of the memories. I said this the other day, Shyamasundar and Mukunda's book. Oh, so heartfelt to all the disciples who have managed to get this association. Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. I suggest this, that if they really want to go deep in their relationship with their guru, then they will have to also read Srila Prabhupada's books, or also come to classes where it's being discussed by senior Vaishnavas, and also to listen to tapes and videos and so forth like this, and develop sambandha, relationship. I know that everyone has an appreciation for our Srila Prabhupada, who has come to Gurudev, because Gurudev, he came here as the servant of Srila Prabhupada by his request, you know. So, and he had such deep relationship, practically of anybody in the world with our Srila Prabhupada. So therefore the disciples, they should also have that relationship with Srila Prabhupada.
So he himself said that he is my Siksha Guru.
Yes.
So that makes our Siksha...
Your Param Siksha Guru.
Param Siksha.
Yeah, Param Siksha Gurus. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, our considered him and actually even stated it in a letter. Spoke it to his disciples. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj to be his Siksha Guru. Sit at the feet of Guru's Siksha Guru was very, very profound experience. And wait, and he became my Guru also. Siksha Guru. You know? So we should try to cultivate sadhu sangha in our life as much as we can every day. And if we don't have the personal direct association of sadhus who we can develop the relationship with their words, what they... But the best is to read and hear, and also to study it. Like, I get the opportunity to speak it, and that makes me more focused. You know what Srila Sridhar Maharaj told one time? Very nice. He said that when you're chanting, like chanting japa, mind can tend to wander when you're chanting japa. He says, but when you are speaking, your mind... Otherwise, how are you going to speak? If your mind is... It forces to be focused on the subject. And even more is writing. Your whole focus, consciousness, everything must be there when you're writing. And Srila Prabhupada, he told that all devotees, they should write every day something. And then he said, 2 lines or 4 lines, doesn't matter. But every day, write your realizations, what you have understood from hearing from the acharyas. Very important. I know that to do that all the time. He made his what do you call it? Entries. Yeah, he's made his entry into the diary. And it was always the same entry. And the way he ended each entry, because his Thakurji from his childhood was Gopal, right? Gopalji. And he would say, Gopalji sees and knows everything. Like this. See?
That was his entry?
Well, that was like that. But I remember that he said that. Gopalji was writing his entry. Okay, so what I wanted to do to get it, because we're still in Rath Yatra. And so just to start this class, I want to read some of the verses from where we left off. After Maharaj Prataparudra completed that pastime, there's such a nice to bring us again in our mind and heart to Jagannath Puri, right there where the Rathiyaksha carts are and Thakurjis are there on the carts, all of that.
That got summed up by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embracing him, right? And then after that,
No, yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embracing him, and that was completed then. Then he left the garden. That's where I'm going to begin to read from. Okay.
Maharaj?
Yeah.
Kishore tried to say something.
Yes? Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that in Mullah Prakriti's book, there's one devotee, he was reminded that he met Prabhupada here. And he saw Prabhupada pictures of his Guru Parampara, Bhakti Siddhanta, and there was one small photo. And oh, this is my Shiksha Guru, Srila Sridhar Maharaj.
Yes, he did. That was the family, the Radha Damodar deities in temple. It was one of those persons who was being interviewed by Mula Prakriti. I remember, that's the proof. That's the proof. He had this kind of mood and relationship with his godbrother, Srila Sridhar. I told that story one time about when Prabhupada was in Hawaii in 1976, and he was sitting in a rocking chair, you know, and Guru Kripa on the rocking chair with a rainbow in the sky in front of him, sucking on a mango. You know, they all came, and then they all said, Jai Shri. Wide smile. He said, Hawaii is a very nice place in spiritual life. Brother, Chuck Sridhar Maharaj, he would like it. So, within who knew everything that was happening when the king came, but externally, and he also had opulence to the king, but he forbade him to disclose that to anyone. And he knew that he was talking with King Prataparudra. The Lord Prataparudra, he's praised the good fortune, and their minds became so. And it included uncooked milk products, all the there was no to the there were curd, fruit juice, mango, dried coconut, jackfruit, and palm fruit. There were filled with a variety of prasadam. He was very satisfied. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was satisfied just to see how Lord Jagannath accepted all the food. There then arrived 5 or 7 loads of plates made of the leaves of the Ketaki tree. Each man was supplied 10 of these plates, and in this way, leaf dishes. So, after finishing, and he sat down, it was showed him that it was distributed to thousands. And following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda, his personal servant, called for all the poor beggars who were very unhappy due to their poverty and fed them sumptuously. Now, observing the beggars eating prasadam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Upanishad, verse Yasmin Tani Atmaiva Bud Vijanataha Tatrako Mohaka Shoka Ekatvam Anupashyataha. We all memorized the early 7th chant. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? We also used to repeat the translation. You can turn the fan on now, because all the bodies are... Outside the garden, when it was time to pull Jagannath's car, then all the workers called Gaudas, they tried to pull it. But it would not move forward. Big, huge, gigantic. They tried with all their might. Then when the Gaudas saw that they could not budge the car, they stopped. They abandoned the attempt. Then the king arrived by the car. And even the king himself joined in, but the car could not be moved. Now, becoming even more anxious to move the car, he had very harnessed the car. He harnessed them to the car. Elephants, all there, still, they stand still. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this news, he went there with all his persons. They then there and watched the elephants try to pull the car. The elephants being beaten by the elephant goad were crying, but still the car would not. And the assembled people cried out. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu let all the elephants go free. And he placed the car's ropes in the hands of his own men. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back of the car, and he began to push with his head. And that the car began to move along, making a rattling sound. Gaur Premanande, Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. Indeed, the car began to move automatically, and the devotees simply carried the ropes in their hands. Since it was moving effortlessly, they did not need to pull it. When the car moved forward, every hand, all glories to Lord Jagannath. Not seeing the uncommon strength of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all were strong. Then the crowd made a tumultuous vibration. The whole crowd of people. Jai Gaura Chandra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Wonderful. Gaura Chandra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. A Mata Kola sound. Chaitanya. Wonderful. Seeing the greatness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Maharaj and his ministers and friends, by ecstatic love, the hair on their bodies stood on end. All the servants of Lord Jagannath then took him down from the car, and the Lord went to sit on his throne in the temple, in the Gundicha. Subhadra and Balaram also sat on their respective thrones. There followed the bathing of Lord Jagannath and finally the offering of food. And while Lord Jagannath and Lord sat on their respective thrones, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees began to perform Sankirtan with great pleasure. The yard of the temple. We've been able to go in that yard with our white-skinned Western bodies, but not any farther. So, remaining devotions to the Lord in meditations. And for the all among the important devotees, the rest of the devotees did not get an opportunity to extend an invitation to the Lord. They could not get to extend an invitation. Times of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of invitations. After taking his bath early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to see Lord Jagannath in the time with his devotees. By chanting and dancing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to dance. Sometimes Haridas Thakur and Achyutananda to dance. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged Vakreshwar, whose appearance or disappearance, I forget. So sometimes Sri Chaitanya Keshwara and other devotees in chanting and dancing. 3 times daily, morning, noon, and evening, he would perform. At this time, Sri Chaitanya, Lord Krishna had returned to Vrindavan. Thinking this, his feelings of separation from Krishna subsided. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always thinking gardens near the and his devotees. Actually, you walk there from right next to the is the Nrsingadev temple. That is the same cave. Mahaprabhu performed huge Maha Sankirtan after the Gundicha temple. And that's just right. It's like walking from here like to Nanda Gopal's place or something. That far distance. And then from there, then you have to walk, maybe about a half a kilometer, quarter of a mile or something. And then you come to this big lake. Have you been there? Yeah, Indradumna Sarovar. And it's the exact same sort of place where this pastime that we're just about to hear took place, when the devotees went bathing in the Sarovar with Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Very, very nectar pastime. We're going to hear that right now. But whenever I go there, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, it's the actual lake that they all... And the devotees surrounding him on all sides also splashed the Lord. Oh, I'm happy I went swimming today because that was Udipan for this pastime. Yeah, Udipan. And the devotees surrounding the Lord on all sides, they also splashed the Lord. While in the water, they sometimes formed one circle, and sometimes many circles. And while in the water, they used to play cymbals and imitate the croaking of frogs. Sometimes 2 would pair off to fight in the water, and one would emerge victorious and the other defeated, and the Lord would watch all this fun. The first sporting took place between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, who threw water upon each other. Advaita Acharya was defeated, and later he began to rebuke Nityananda, calling him ill names. And Swarup Damodar and Pundarik Vidyanidhi also threw water upon each other. Then Murari Gupta and Vasudev Datta also sported in that way. Another duel took place between Srivas Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit, and yet another between Raghava Pandit and Virkeshwara Pandit. Thus they all engaged in throwing water. Indeed, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya engaged in water sports with Sri Ramananda Roy, and they both lost their gravity and became like children. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the exuberance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy, he smiled and he spoke to Gopinath Acharya, who was the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He said, "Tell the Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy to stop their childish play, because they are both learned scholars and very grave and great personalities." Then Gopinath Acharya replied, "I believe that one drop of the ocean of your great mercy has swelled up upon them. A drop from the ocean of your mercy can drown great mountains like Sumeru and Mandara. Since these two gentlemen are little hills by comparison, it is no wonder that they are being drowned in the ocean of mercy." And Mahaprabhu continues. No, Gopinath Acharya is telling. Then Gopinath Acharya says, logic? It is like a dry oil cake from which all the oil is extracted. And the Bhattacharya, he passed his life in eating such dry cakes. But now you have made him drink the nectar of transcendental pastimes. It is certainly your great mercy upon him. So after Gopinath Acharya finished talking, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, and calling for Advaita Acharya, he made him, Advaita Acharya, act like Shesha Naga bed. Lying down on Advaita Prabhu in the water, who was floating on the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated the pastime of Shesha Shayi Vishnu. Who is Advaita Acharya, please tell me? Mahavishnu, from whom the other Vishnus come, right? And who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna himself, the source of all, right? So here, Mahavishnu, who lies on the Sheshanag, is now becoming the Sheshanag for Mahaprabhu. So now, lying down on Advaita Prabhu, who was floating on the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated the pastime of Shesha Shayi Vishnu. Manifesting his personal potency, Advaita Acharya floated about on the water, carrying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Isn't that an amazing pastime? Wow. Then after sporting in the water for some time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his place at Aitota, accompanied by his devotees. Parmananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati and all the other chief devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took lunch at the invitation of Advaita Acharya. Whatever extra prasadam was brought by Vaninath Roy, it was taken by the other associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the afternoon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Gundicha temple to visit the Lord and dance. At night, he went to the garden to take rest. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went to the temple of Gundicha and saw the Lord. He then chanted and danced in the yard for some time. Accompanied by his devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went into the garden and enjoyed the pastimes. There were multifarious trees and creepers in the garden, and they were all jubilant to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, the birds were chirping, the bees were buzzing, and a cool breeze was blowing. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced beneath each and every tree, Vasudeva Datta sang alone. As Vasudev Datta sang a different song beneath each and every tree, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced there alone in great ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Virkeshwara Pandit to dance, and he began to dance. As he began to dance, the Lord began to sing. Then devotees like Swarup Damodar, other kirtan performers began to sing along with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being inundated with ecstatic love, they lost all consideration of time and circumstance. And after thus performing pastimes in the garden for some time, they all went to a lake called Narendra Sarovara, and there they enjoyed sporting in the water. Now this lake, you've been there? Anyone? That lake is towards the Jagannath temple, and not too far from the Jagannath Ballabha Gardens, where Mahaprabhu was lying resting. Not too far from there. And that's the Narendra Sarovara in which Lord Jagannath, in his form of Madan Mohan deity, is taken on a boat there during what's called Chandan Yatra, the hottest days, like 21 days, and is taken on a boat there in the late afternoon, in the evening, and fanned on this beautiful, shaped like a swan boat. And Mahaprabhu would also come there and do water pastimes as he's watching this ceremony going on. It's all there in Antya-lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, after sporting in the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to the garden, and he accepted prasadam with the devotees. For 9 continuous days, his lordship, Sri Jagannath, stayed at the Gundicha temple. During this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also stayed there, and he performed the pastimes with his devotees that have already been described. The garden of his pastimes was very large, and it was named Bhag. That's the same name nowadays. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his rest there for 9 days. Now, knowing that the Hera Panchami festival was drawing near, King Prataparudra attentively talked with Kashi Mishra. And he said, tomorrow will be the function of Hera Panchami, or Lakshmi Vijaya. Hold this festival in a way that it has never been held before. King Prataparudra said, hold this festival in such a gorgeous way that upon seeing it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be completely pleased and astonished. Take as many printed cloths, small bells, umbrellas, and chamaras as there are in my storehouse and in the deity's storehouse, and collect all kinds of small and large flags and ringing bells. Then decorate the carrier and have various musical and dancing parties accompany it. In this way, decorate the carrier attractively. You should also double the quantity of prasadam. Make so much that it will even surpass the Ratha Yatra festival. Arrange the festival in such a way that the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may freely go with his devotees to visit the deity without difficulty. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his personal associates with him to see Lord Jagannath at Sundarachal. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees returned to Nilachal with great eagerness to see the Hera Panchami festival. So that is tomorrow. We've read up to that. We're going to read the verses that are here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also we're going to read Gurudev's comment for tomorrow's festival. We'll also speak briefly about Sri Vakeshwara Pandit. Recently we also celebrated his, I think, disappearance day or appearance.
Okay.
Yeah. So now,
also just in the evening speaking. Or you want
yeah, evening. Yeah, evening. So now I'm going to return to the subject matter that we began yesterday from Gurudev's Ratha Yatra book of the moods, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's moods during the Ratha Yatra festival. Now, we've got about a half an hour before the Arti. And so we're going to be able to cover some real nectar here, because when we read this about Mahaprabhu's moods, the shlokas that Mahaprabhu is reciting in front of Lord Jagannath, so we read that yesterday. But what Gurudev is doing is he's giving full commentary here and explaining what was Mahaprabhu's mood in chanting these different shlokas in front of Lord Jagannath. So, at the time of the Rath Yatra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, overwhelmed with bhav, he began to offer a prayer to Lord Jagannath Dev before his chariot. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw Lord Sri Jagannath Dev as his Prana Vallabha, the beloved of his life, Brajendra Nandan Shyama Sundar. We talked about this yesterday. I'm just repeating this before we read the shloka. He never saw him as Vasudev Krishna of Dwarka, because Srimad Mahaprabhu is indeed Sri Krishna himself, endowed with the mood, the bhav, and the luster, the kanti of Sri Radha. So in this lila, being deeply immersed in the bhav of Srimati Radhaji, he spoke a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam as he remembered the pastimes of Braj. So here's the verse. Here's some water. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, verse 48. It's at the very, very end of the 10th canto. The last chapter of the 10th canto is 90. So this is the longest canto. Most of the cantos, they'll have anywhere between 25, 35 chapters in the other cantos, some even a little bit shorter. But the 10th canto is the longest, 90 chapters, the entire life of Krishna on this planet. Thank you. So, so, in this Leela of Mahaprabhu chanting verses to Lord Jagannath, he was deeply immersed in the bhav of Srimati Radhika Ji. So he spoke from Srimad Bhagavatam as he remembered the pastimes of Braja. Now this verse, beginning with Jayati Jana Nivaso. This is also a verse that Prabhupada taught early on. I think it was also a verse that he utilized for waking up the deities, wasn't it? Yeah. But now, once we were with Gurudev in Mathura, maybe twice, and he was giving lectures for a number of days on this verse. And then there's a couple of other verses that Gurudev was lecturing on. So this verse, being one of the final verses of the entire 10th canto, is Shukadeva Goswami completely summarizing who is this personality that we've just described in 90 chapters. Who is this personality, Sri Krishna? And he glorifies Krishna in a very amazing way in this verse. So I'm reading the verse and then the translation. Devaki Janmava Yaduvara Parishat Svair Dorbir Asyan Adharmam Stirachara Vrijjanagna Susmita Shri Mukena Vrajapura Vanitanam Vardhayan Kamadevam. Translation. He resides in the heart of all living entities in the form of Antaryami, the indwelling This also means that he lives among the Gopas or the Yadavas, or it means that he is and is all. In reality, it is only a rumor that he was born from the womb of Devaki because he is unborn. At the same time, he is factually only the son of Yashoda Gopi. Those who are the best of the Yadu dynasty are his servants. Although he is capable of causing universal destruction simply by his desire, but by the strength of his own arms, and this also means by devotees such as Arjuna, who are like his arms. By that, he destroys the demons who oppose the principles of religion, dharma. He removes the material suffering of all moving and non-moving living entities. This also means, in Vrajapura, he destroys the anguish caused by the separation of his own people from him. He increases the calm, the transcendental desire of the damsels of Vrajapura by his gently smiling lotus face. May that Sri Krishna be victorious. So, in this translation, Srila Gurudev is actually telling the meaning and also a double meaning within the translation. So this is a very important verse because, first of all, just like the Srimad Bhagavatam first verse, what is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmati Asya Kamanyadvitasha Visvavikna Swaratene Brahmari Gayak Kavati Kavaye Moedit Surya Vishvarimritam Yitavimayo Yatrati Sarva Mirshad Hanma Svena Sana Nirastagokam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
Can you explain?
For my soul graces the son to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva, who put, I forget the beginning part, but at the end it says, he puts...
Well, the beginning part, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
For my soul graces the son to the Supreme Lord Vasudeva.
Who is the son of who? Vasudeva. That's the reason why Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam begins with declaring and defining who is the personality that this whole Srimad Bhagavatam is going to be speaking about. And here, this invocation verse by Srila Vyasadeva, he is telling Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya with a long A. And then in the translation, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, and our acharyas are explaining, that this is referring to Sri Krishna, who is the son of Vasudeva. Now, Vasudeva and Vasudeva, this is the relationship between these two names, nomenclature, okay? Because in Sanskrit, when a person is the son born from the father, then his name is modified. So the actual meaning of the word Vasudev is the son of Vasudev. And then there's a whole description about how the Vasudev state of consciousness is of that one supreme entity, personality of Godhead, Vasudev, who pervades the entire creation. So, at the end of that verse, the last line is telling, again? Right, when you're chanting it. That happens to me also. So, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. What is the meaning of that?
Dhimahi means to meditate upon. Satyam Param, the absolute truth.
Yeah, the highest. Param Satyam. Satyam Param Dhimahi. The term Dhimahi means to meditate upon, right? And actually, Dhimahi is there in the Gayatri mantras. Always Dhimahi, meditating upon. So, Satyam Param Dhimahi, Srila Vyasadeva, who's written this verse, is telling that I meditate upon him because he is the supreme truth. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiu Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra. So, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. What does that mean? He remains always in his eternal abode. Dhamna Svena Sada. Always. He's always eternally residing in his abode. Nirasta Kuhakam. Which is free from what? Illusion. No illusion there. And Satyam Param Dhimahi. So in the purport, our acharyas have explained that this is actually a Gayatri mantra. The meter of this first verse is Gayatri meter. And therefore, Satyam Param Dhimahi is at the end of that. The point I'm making is that this is the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what you just recited, but this is the final end verse of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very purpose of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. 90 chapters describing Krishna's all his life, pastimes, everything, right? And now at the very end of that last chapter, Gurudev Goswami is now chanting this amazing verse. So now we can hear how Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev opens up the meaning of this verse. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu utters this prayer to Lord Jagannath, Mahaprabhu is telling this. So Mahaprabhu is absorbed in the very same moods as Srimati Radhika at the time of meeting with Krishna at Kurukshetra. So with their bhavs, the gopis present in Kurukshetra, they take Sri Krishna to Vrindavan and they decorate him with flowers. In their bhavs, not outwardly. Internally, they're bringing Krishna to Vrindavan with their bhavs, and they're decorating Krishna with flowers. Purely by their bhavs, they forcibly give him the flute that he left in Vrindavan with Mother Yashoda. Because Krishna did not take his flute when he left Vrindavan. You know that, right? It is not proper for someone to depict Krishna in Dwarka or Mathura playing his flute. No.
No, Krishna kept it.
Yeah. So, in their bhavs, the gopis, purely by their bhavs, they forcibly gave him the flute that he left in Vrindavan with Mother Yashoda, as well as a peacock feather. Also, you don't see peacock feather on Mathuresh Krishna. No. And the gopis, they whisper in his ear to Krishna, forget that your father and mother are Vasudeva and Devaki. Gopis are telling this to Krishna in their mood, internally, not outwardly, but even outwardly. They're talking and they're telling Krishna, they're coaching Krishna. They're coaching him, and they're whispering in his ear, and they're saying, forget that your father and mother are Vasudeva and Devaki. Do not say that you are from the Yadu dynasty or that you are a Yadava. Just say that you are Yashoda Maya's darling Gopal and Nanda Baba's darling Kanaya. This is the moods. Then Sri Krishna replies, yes, I will surely do as you say. Now, Sri Sanatana Goswami quoted the above shloka, the same, in his Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita commentary. It's also at the very end, practically, of his Bhagavatamrita commentary. And this shloka has many profound meanings. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam is contained within this very shloka. Did you know that? No, now you do. Gurudev just said. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam is contained within this shloka. Jayati Jananivaso Devaki Janmavado. So, the general meaning, now Gurudev is going to take from the very beginning of the shloka, and he's going to give the general meaning. Just like we heard the general meaning of the verse from Gopi Gita, Tavakatamritam Tapta Jivanam. And then Gurudev told the deeper inner meaning. So the general meaning of Jana Nivasa is he who is always situated in the heart of all as Paramatma. You know the term Nivas? What does Nivas mean? To reside. Nivas. Or Vas. Braj Vas. To reside in Braj. Braj Vas. Or Nivas. So here, Jana Nivas. What are Jana? Here, in a general way, Jana means everyone. All the living entities. And this person is always situated in the heart of all as Paramatma. Do we know this truth? Do we know this? That Krishna is residing in our heart. He's with us, in our heart, and with every living entity.
Yes.
Yes. Is he in the heart of the ants crawling all over here? Millions upon millions upon millions of ants.
I would say for myself, I would say no because...
You would say what?
I would say no because then I would act differently than I do.
But we know it because we've heard it from the authorities. We have to know it more deeply. But this is Bhagavatam. To become a devotee of Krishna means to begin to realize Krishna. And to realize Krishna means to realize the three aspects of the Absolute Truth. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan. So, we have to practice this. Not looking at this world as we perform our duties and go through our lives in this body. Not just looking externally, but looking through the eyes of Shastra. That is called Shastra Chakshush. Chakshu means eyes, and Shastra means the scriptures, the Vedic literature. Shastra Chakshu, to look at everything through the eyes of the Shastra.
That's similar to Shabda Brahman or the
That's different.
Transmission.
Shabda Brahma means sound.
Right.
This is
But I mean,
seeing. Oh, Shabda Brahma.
similar in energy.
This is talking about how the devotee should perceive as he goes through life. Because, I'll give you an example that Prabhupada gives. If a person is a student of, like, botany, studying plants and so forth, maybe there's some other names for that as well, those who really become highly knowledgeable about plant life and all of that. There's some
Botanists.
botanists, that's what I thought. Horticulture, and there's the people become very knowledgeable about these trees that are standing up here on the mountain, arborists, So if an ordinary person goes there, like me, and I'm looking at all these trees, so and the general public, they're just like, wow, they're so big, this is so spectacular, it's amazing, wow. But if a botanist goes there, how does he see? He knows everything about the tree. He knows what size the seed was that it came from. He knows the inner workings of the tree. He knows the biology. He knows the history of that tree. you know? In a similar way, a devotee is different than a non-devotee. Because the non-devotees only see with their flesh eye. That's all. What their flesh eye can perceive. The colors and the shapes and the forms and all of that. But a devotee, he sees eyes of knowledge. You know, we pray. When we begin to speak, what speak? What do we speak? We begin to try to speak on the subject of the Vedic knowledge. Yeah, say the verse. Now explain it line by line. Yeah, you can. I'll help you. So what does agyana mean?
Jnana is knowledge. Agyana would mean
Ignorance.
ignorance.
Yeah, agyana. And timiranda, darkness. Now,
Sorry, I mean, I've heard it so many times, the translation, but
Yeah.
the way that you break it down is very much studious, you know, like.
yeah,
so
that's
I'm
why
not used
I'm,
to doing that. So
I know that. So, but I'm just helping you and everybody else. Because when we recite mantras, especially pranam mantras, we should meditate on the meaning of the words. We meditate on the meaning of the verse, but as we're saying it, those words are a sound vibration that will help us to go deeper in our meditation on that verse. You understand? So, you're mentally agyana timirandasya. What is the meaning? Well, it's been translated like this. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. Which means what? We had no knowledge. Agyan. Agyan. No knowledge. And no knowledge is like being in darkness. You don't see anything, you don't understand what's surrounding you, it's just darkness. So this verse, actually, you know who wrote this verse? Narottam Das Thakur. It's in his book Pratana. Yes. Jnana Timirandasya. Jnananjana Shalaka. Know the meaning of these words?
Jnana is intelligence.
No, knowledge. Knowledge. Jnana. So we already said agyan. Now, anjana. What does anjana mean? Ointment. Premanjana. Chudita Bhakti Gavachanena. Or sometimes translated as a salve. Like when you have a visual defect or something, and there's a particular Ayurvedic medicine, like a salve, that can be rubbed on your eyes to cure your problem, vision problem. So, Jnananjana means the ointment of transcendental knowledge. Shalakaya. Through the medium, through the instrument of Jnananjana. Chakshur unmilitam. Chakshu, eyes. Unmilitam, opening. My spiritual master, he understood that I was completely devoid of all knowledge. I was blind. I was in darkness. I had no knowledge. And my spiritual master, he applied the ointment of knowledge on my darkened eyes. And he opened them. My eyes were shut. Chakshur unmilitam means he opened my eyes with transcendental knowledge. Not just the flesh eye, the eye of transcendental knowledge. This is the relationship between guru and disciple. The reception of transcendental knowledge. So, Chakshur unmilitam yena, by him, tasmai, unto him, Sri Gurave Namaha. To Sri Guru, I offer my obeisances. You see? So, to understand Krishna is the purpose of all the Vedic knowledge. The entire Vedas that were imparted in the heart of Brahmaji. What is the purpose of all the Vedic knowledge? Ultimately, the purpose is to understand Krishna. To realize Krishna. To become the devotee of Krishna. And by doing this, the whole cycle of birth and death is completely finished. Pure knowledge, which means diksha, divya jnanam tato dadyat. Pure knowledge is being given by Sri Guru. And who is Sri Guru? Sri Guru is actually Krishna also. He's Krishna. Acharya mam vijanayan, Krishna told to Uddhava. You should know that I am the Acharya, O Uddhava. Acharya mam vijanayan, nava manyeta karahichit. Never disrespect the Acharya. You should know I am the Acharya. Nava manyeta karahichit. Never disobey him. Namartya buddhya suyeta. Namartya buddhya means don't think of him as a human being. Martya buddhi. Martya means mortal of this world. Martya, world of mrityu, of death. Don't have martya buddhi towards Sri Guru. Thinking of him like a human being of this world who was forced to take birth by his karma and so forth. No. No martya buddhi. Don't have this. Asuyeta. Never ever have suya, means envy toward him. Sarvadeva mayo guru. All the devas, the demigods, they are residing in Sri Guru. So, in this way, when we hear such verses, like the verse under discussion here, we have to try to really go deeply in understanding it with our intelligence. Krishna has given us this very good, fine intelligence in this human body. And it is meant to be used for this. If we are only using it for material purposes, it's completely wasted. We'll get nothing. We have to use our intelligence to do what we do in life, according to our station in the Varnashram Dharma. But our intelligence has to be used for this every single day. And then it will become very sharp, and our eyes will begin to be completely rubbed with the ointment of transcendental knowledge. And then when transcendental knowledge comes, then we will see everything. Like I was saying about this verse, we should see that when we wake up and we walk around here in Badger and New Braj, we see the trees, the flowers, the insects, we see nature, we see the sun, we see all this. And we should understand that all these creatures, billions and trillions, I'm sure there's probably even zillions of jivatmas just on this little area of this mountaintop here. Okay? So it's completely beyond our conception, but Sri Krishna is there with the jiva in every single body. Every single species, Krishna is there as the Paramatma, giving direction, giving all knowledge to them. I mean, look at, when you see a hummingbird, we have a few of them around here. Is that not completely mind-blowing? That there is such a living entity that can flap its wings in that way so fast and just hover, and then the next moment be here, and then the next moment be 100 yards away? Srila Prabhupada used to talk about this. He said, inconceivable mystic power. You remember?
So what is a helicopter? Like, you can't do this.
Yes. Inconceivable mystic power is in every species. Every species. And it's very astonishing to actually look at the species from this angle of vision. That what every species is doing, all their natural, what's it called? Instinctive, understanding and knowledge, they all know exactly what to do. They come out of that, they take their birth, they come out of the other species, the mother, the father, or whatever form, whether it's plant life or any moving or unmoving living entities, but they're perfectly equipped to live that life, to find that food, to understand what they're supposed to do, to build their nests, or to live on the rooftops like the monkeys in Vrindavan. They all have their knowledge. Where's that coming from? Paramatma. All knowledge is coming from Paramatma, but it's being given to them because of their confinement in this prison sentence of the lower species. They have to live that out, but Paramatma is there with them. Everything's being directed by him. So the first meaning in this verse is Jana Nivaso. Jayati Jana Nivasa. You, O Krishna, you are the residing in everyone's heart. That's the first meditation on this verse. So we don't have time to move on, but we'll continue this after tomorrow. We'll continue from this point, because tomorrow is what? Hera Panchami. That's going to be an amazing Katha. Amazing Katha. I'm really looking forward to this, because I haven't read it for quite a while. And so I'll brush up on that a little bit tomorrow, but we'll read it together. And this conversation that's coming up of Mahaprabhu witnessing and listening to this conversation of Swarup Damodar and Srivas Thakur, glorifying the gopis and all of that. We'll read that tomorrow. Bhattara Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam Ki Jai, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Shri Jagannatha Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakrajiu Ki Jai, Shri Jagannatha Dev Rath Yatra Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Prema Nande Hari Hari Gaur.